actually, I should say hello to our YouTube friends. And I'm going live on Facebook in just a second once we connect. And we're going live on Facebook in five, four, three, two, one. We're live. Awesome, amazing. I want to thank everybody for being here today on the Feel Good Sales Podcast. Welcome back. Welcome back. Today, I have the absolute honor of speaking to Dr. Ivan Misner. He is the founder and chief visionary officer of BNI Business Network International and the man that Forbes and CNN call the father of modern networking. With over 11,000 chapters worldwide, BNI has helped generate billions in business for its members. Dr. Misner is not only a networking legend, but also a New York Times bestselling author and keynote speaker who's been featured in the LA Times, Wall Street Journal, and countless TV and radio shows. In this episode, we will talk about Dr. Misner's favorite part of the sales process. And of course, we're going to find out how we can do that. So get ready to learn from a genius in marketing. Thank you so much, Ivan, for being on the podcast.
Truly my pleasure, Michelle. Thanks for inviting me.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. So let's dive right in. I want to be completely respectful of your time. So what letters? I know I sent you the list. What letters or letter do you resonate with in my feel good sales process?
Well, I mean, I think there are a couple that are pretty obvious, and you highlighted several of them, and one of them would be leverage, leverage and link. That's a massive part of what I do with BNI. BNI is the world's largest networking organization, and so linking people together and leveraging those relationships are really important. Overcoming and connecting, certainly connecting is an important element. We have 328,000 BNI members in about 11,150 chapters in more than 70 countries around the world. So we got a lot of connecting going on. So much so that our online platform is actually called BNI Connect. But one that I also really resonated with me was engage and excite. And my role in what I do today is to inspire people. But I don't want to just inspire people. I want to inspire people who inspire other people. And I think that's really my primary role. And in order to do that, you got to engage and you got to get people excited. And so that's probably the biggest piece of the job I have today is getting people excited about networking and being successful in business and selling.
I thank you. I love that. And it is all about exciting, and it's about connecting with people. And I said before the podcast, but I want to say it again. You inspired me. I want to thank you so much for founding BNI, first off, and for really teaching us how to connect with other business owners and really resonating and really using the leverage of other business owners as our referral network. It's all about knowing other people and trusting. But what I want to thank you for most is that when I approached you last year with this idea, you were like, yes, that sounds fabulous. I will be a guest on your podcast. So that really meant so much to me. And I think it was because what I have as my vision is I want this process to feel good. And part of it is excitement, feeling good. It's about connection. And that's what feels good.
Yeah, well, to me, it's, sales is all about building relationships. And when you build a powerful relationship, it always feels good. When you build a relationship where your clients are your friends and you are friends to your clients, it almost always feels good. It's one of the reasons why I tell people don't do business that you don't like. Don't do business with people you don't like because you're not going to feel good about it. And, newbies in business, people that are reasonably new, particularly new in sales, they'll take any sale that, crosses their threshold. And I get it. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But at some point, you want to be selective about who your clients are, because if you want to feel good about what you're doing, you want to feel good about your clients.
I agree. And it does take us just a little bit to get there. But
Yeah.
once we have one or two under our belt that don't feel good,
Yeah.
and we when you're taking them on, that it
Yeah.
doesn't feel good. It's about listening to your intuition.
Yeah. Your intuition is your soul talking to you. You need to pay attention to it.
You really do. You really do. You've got to listen. You've got to listen.
I have this great technique, because people aren't sure what they're going to do, and I try to on some issue. They got these pros and cons, and they come to me and they ask me, should I do this? Should I do that? And certainly my kids did that a lot. Hey Dad, what do you think? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I have this little technique with them, and they always think I'm crazy. At first, when I say it, this is a great technique. I say, okay, well, you have two choices, choice A, choice B. They said, yes. And you've thought about both. And they would say, yes. And I can't make a decision on which one I should do. And I say, okay, well, here's what you do. We're talking about intuition. I said, choice A is heads. Choice B is tails. And they're like, seriously? No, you can't do this. I said, just go with me. Just give it a shot. And they're like, yeah, I'm fine. And I do this with business people, and they think I'm insane. And it's hard to find coins these days, but because nobody's carrying coins. But if I have a quarter, I say, okay, you ready? Heads are choice A, B is tails. Okay, heads and tails. So I'll flip the coin and I'll say, okay, it's tails. And then I'll go, and then I'll say, how do you feel about that? Forget about that choice. Just check in with how you feel right now. Did that make you feel, yeah, okay, all right? Or did you go, I can't believe it's that? That's your answer. And if you got tails and your response, your feeling was, then you don't want to do that. You want to do heads. And it's such a simple technique to get people to listen to their intuition, because they tend to get stuck in their head.
Yeah,
it took me a long time to figure this out, by the way.
Well, and it's brilliant. And it's also like, so you're giving them a choice, heads or tails. Okay. And so I think what their thought process was, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go with whatever the heads or tails is. And then you come along and say, how did that feel?
Yeah.
And it's okay to not go with that other
exactly
step. Yeah.
That's exactly it. You go with how you felt when you got the answer. This is your answer. Now how you feel about it. Yeah. And it's really amazing how sometimes, people sometimes will go, I feel pretty good about that. And other times they'll go, my first reaction was, ooh. And I'm like, go with your first reaction. Ooh's not, oh yeah, great, I want to do that.
Go with your first reaction, because in business, we were talking about this earlier, you're at a different stage of your business life than most entrepreneurs are. We're down in it. Okay. This is something you're going to be doing for the vast majority of your waking hours. Yeah. So feel good about it.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what I try to encourage people, and I try to let people know that in order for your business to be a success, you need to feel good about it, because you're going to be spending an awful lot of time with it.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. And let me check on our Facebook. I do like to be interactive with everyone. We have Melissa is on. So hey there. And we've also had a couple of others. Let's see. I'd like to say hi to everybody. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone from BNI, and thank you for everyone in my group. I appreciate it. I know Ivan does. So,
absolutely.
So how can we apply? I know you gave us some great, we're talking about intuition, but what are some other ways that we can apply? Let's talk about leveraging for just a minute, um, especially referrals, because I know this is, and I know it's what you do and it's what BNI is about, but so many new entrepreneurs don't understand the importance of leveraging someone else's audience, connecting, getting those referrals.
Yeah, well, there's two elements to it that I think are really important, and it's sort of quality and quantity. If your network is a mile wide and an inch deep, it's not going to be very powerful. And if you want to, and this is really important. Networking is more about farming than it is about hunting. So it's really about building relationships. And if you build the relationships, you get the referrals, and the referrals turn into sales. Everybody knows, the data has been out there for years, that the chances of a referral closing into business are significantly higher than almost any other sales process. So what you want to do is have a network that is both wide and in places deep, meaning you've built relationships with some of those people. And that's where you get the most leverage, is when you've built a deep relationship with a number of people who care about your success and you care about their success. That said, it's also important to have a certain size network. Metcalfe's law talks about the size of networks, and what I talk about is the squared connection effect. It talks about how you leverage the number of people that you have, but they got to be quality, okay? Quality first, quantity second. But in the squared connection effect, if there are 16 people in a room, you have basically 256 connections. But if there are 32 people in a room, you've got over 1,000 connections. I think it's 1,060 connections. So you double your size, you triple, quadruple the number of connections that exist in that room. And so that's how you leverage your sales capacity and process, is by getting a decent sized network of people that you have a quality relationship with.
Yes, exactly. I love that, because you're saying, instead of make those connections,
Yep.
but really focus on a fewer amount. Don't worry, don't think that you have to. And that's another thing with the feel good sales process. It has to feel good. And what feels stressful is, oh my gosh, I have to connect with so many people. What you're saying is connect with these select few, 32.
Yeah, 32, 40, 50.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but even in then, there's a handful that it's really, really, you have a tight relationship with.
Yes. Connect with those people,
Yeah.
get to know them, make those connections, and they're going to talk about your product. Think about the last time you bought something.
Yeah.
Why did you buy that? So I was thinking about that earlier this week. It's like, why did I sign up for that particular service? Because one of my friends recommended it.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's always the most powerful way to get it. And again, this comes from leverage. So if you take the squared connection effect, 16, you got 256 connections, 32, you've got over 1,000 connections. And you add to that, and this is really important. It sounds complicated, but it's not. You add to that the Dunbar number. The Dunbar number, Dunbar was a social scientist that said, how many people, on average, how many people can someone really have as a friend? Or know, well, you know their name, you know a little bit about them. So Facebook kind of redefined what a friend is. I'm talking about real friends, real friends. The Dunbar number was friends and associates. The Dunbar number was 150. So now you're talking about leverage. You take this squared connection effect, 32. Now you multiply that 1,000 connections with those 32 people and multiply that by the Dunbar number, 150. You're now talking about thousands and thousands of possible linkages with other people. And this is the power of networking, is that if it's both wide and deep in places, you've leveraged relationships that will help you close sales. You're going to be closing sales, potentially closing sales when you're on vacation, or at least getting potential clients that you can close as soon as you get back from vacation while you're out on vacation.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful way to live. And I think there was one letter that we didn't talk about, and that's delight and deepen. And that's exactly what you're talking about, is deepening those relationships, not only with your network, not only with your friends, but also deepening that relationship with your clients.
Yes.
With your clients, because my clients, I've reached a point in my business where most of my money is coming from my clients, my repeat clients. And it's a beautiful relationship to have.
And for so many reasons, you want to keep that client, and by having a deep relationship with them, that helps. We're going way back, many years. I had a guy who was going to join. I remember his name, Nordy Turchin was his name, and we're going back 35 years. And Nordy sold commercial light bulbs. So you couldn't give him a Mercy referral, like one of the light bulbs in my office here, which, you can get it at Home Depot or whatever. You couldn't give him a Mercy referral because he did these light bulbs that went into factories. You may have seen them where you walk into a factory, you turn the light on, and it takes like a minute for the light to fully turn on. So that's all he sold. And I said to him, man, I'm not sure you're going to get any referrals because, I don't have anybody in any chapter anywhere that does commercial light bulbs. And he said, no, I'll get sales. He said, I'm really good at building relationships with people, and I'll get sales. But then he said something that connects with the thing you said. He said, besides, I want to have really good relationships with my existing clients. And if I can find value-added ways to maintain the relationship with my clients, when some other a commercial light bulb salesman shows up at their door and is going to give them a few cents off per light bulb, they're going to say no thank you, because they have this connection with me. And the connection is, if I'm talking to someone and they have a need, they have a problem, and we're talking about it, and he says, I ask them, how are you doing? What are your challenges going on? He said, if they have a problem and I can refer them to somebody that does a great job, then that rubs off on me. So when you give a referral away, you get a little of your reputation away. If you give a bad referral, it hurts it. But if you give a good referral, it helps your reputation with your clients. So networking can, in fact, help you do exactly what you just said, Michelle. Maintain and strengthen your relationships with your existing clients. Nordy taught me that 35 years ago.
And I love it. And he taught you that, and then you incorporated it into the BNI philosophy.
I did. And by the way, I was wrong. He did get referrals, which surprised the heck out of me. Even the next year, he won the sales contest for his company for the first time in his life. And he'd been with them for years. He won the sales contest, and he and his wife had an all expenses paid trip, a cruise on to the Caribbean for a week. And he was like, and you tried to talk me out of this. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry.
That never happened again.
No, never did that again.
Yes, I understand. I understand the power of networking. I understand the power of BNI. It's super powerful. That I think so. I love that you are very succinct in your explanations. You'd think you've done this a lot.
I have, but I got to tell you, I've never done your acronym that you have, which I love. I've never seen that in any of the interviews I've done, so I really like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I wanted to make something easy to understand, and I also wanted to make it fun. And it's the sales process. It's AKA marketing.
Yeah.
But this is what you need to do. And I want to keep it simple, and I want to keep it relatable, and I want to keep it to something that everyone can do, no matter what stage they're in.
Yeah, agree.
And most importantly, I want it to feel good, because I like to feel good.
Yeah.
And I know that I hope that everyone else does too. But yeah, it it was fun coming up with um, uh, where to fit everything in the
Right.
sales process.
Well, you did it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And it's a dynamic list. It's ever growing. It because that's part of my feel good process. It's you grow with it. And it's okay to grow, like we were talking about the heads or tails, your intuition.
Yeah.
That's part of the sales process. It's not set in stone. It is something that's dynamic and organic and changing and growing like you are. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I appreciate it. Are there any last thoughts that you want to add? Any other little pearls of wisdom that you want to give us?
Well, I know you got a couple of other questions that you want to throw at me, so I'm happy to tackle those.
Well, you know what we did, and this happens all the time. Just because you are a born educator, this is what you do. So we covered. Okay,
Well, one of the
so
things you said, what's the zone? What we talked about in
uh-huh,
advance is what's your zone of genius in the sales process, and for me, it certainly is referrals
yeah,
and getting that introduction. Of our, we have roughly 75 countries that BNI is in. Only 2 of those countries came from something other than a referral. So 70 plus of the countries that I have BNI operating in all came from referrals. So I really believe in walking the talk. You want to build your business. Referrals are a great way. It's not the only way. And by the way, I don't beat up advertising or social media is, I think, a great way to advertise, to market, but it's not necessarily, I'm sorry, it's a great way to educate. Not sure it's a great sales tool, but I know people disagree with that. I use it to educate and inform. So, I mean, I think that for me, my zone of genius has certainly been getting that referral or getting that introduction. Um, from a business perspective, it would be that I am a dog with a bone. I am very persistent, relentless. If I have any superpower whatsoever as a business professional, it is that I am relentless with what it is that I need to do. And if you look at the way BNI is set up, it's about meeting every single week with a process that you follow on a weekly basis to get into that groove. You want to be successful in business, and I think this is where most people really go wrong in sales and business. You want to be successful, do 6 things 1,000 times,
yeah,
not 1,000 things 6 times. And it doesn't have to be 6, it could be 5, it could be 7, but it's about doing those things that you know work. And how do you know what works? Well, you listen to podcasts like this. If you're in sales, you read sales books by sales experts, and you do those things, and you do them 1,000 times. And I think that's absolutely my superpower as a business person.
it's repetition.
Yeah.
And it really is. It really is. It's There are only so many things you can do. Okay. And that's where the process comes in as well, is that it's laid out for you. It's a simple, repeatable system.
Yeah.
You don't have to
And
stress out.
sometimes business people and salespeople, they don't like doing the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, well, then don't be successful. It's your choice.
That's it.
It's your choice.
It really is. It really is. Now I do want to like interject just a little bit, because I
Yeah.
did have that attitude about social media as well, until I found this whole other side of social media, connections. I have made so many fabulous, wonderful, beautiful connections on Facebook. In the last year, it has just blown my mind. There are some
I wouldn't
incredible
argue with
people.
that. It,
Yeah.
it is a great way to, I travel around the world. So what's really amazing is to be able to travel to some other country and meet somebody who's a top fan on Facebook. And, I recognize their face because every time I post something, they're commenting. And so you make these connections that you wouldn't otherwise have.
Yeah.
And it's the technology has allowed us to do that. When I was a young man, if I wanted to reach out to somebody, I had to make a phone call. And by the way, when I started BNI, the second largest line item in my budget was the phone bill. It was the telephone bill. It was staff salaries were number one. Phone bill was number two. People, young people don't. It's like, what? Phone bill? Because it's not even in our budget now. I don't know where it is. But making phone calls was incredibly expensive.
And it's still part of the sales process. It's part of that connection. It's making connection. It's actually calling and talking to your clients.
Yeah. Which is important.
Yeah, it's very important. It's very important. And again, thank you. Thank you so much. And I think we did cover, all three. We covered what letters you are, your zone of genius, and how can we do that? I might need to cut out the how we do that, because it's always combined. Everyone always talks about it in their zone of genius part. But I thank you so much, and I appreciate it again, you being on the podcast. I do want to just briefly cover who's coming up on the podcast, get everyone excited. Next up on the podcast is Amanda Krill, and she is owner of She Owns. And then I have my next episode after that. I'm super excited about this. It's so much fun. Her name is Allison Wonder. Okay, just her name itself is fantastic. But she's bringing Cecil, a puppet, on the podcast. So that was going to be so much fun.
That'll be fun.
It will be. So those are my next two guests. And then also I wanted to cover briefly that I do have a masterclass coming up on October the 1st. It's a masterclass called Get Found and Make Money. And it's exactly the process. Build a repeatable sales process that feels good and actually works. And we're going to cover the first letter in detail, find and align. So it's a free 2-hour masterclass. And Liz Wilcox, who is an email marketing genius, is going to join us. So that is coming up on October 1st. And let's see, I have to go through my list because I'm still new at this. I do want to thank also my supporter, Whoopsie Hair Ties. I've got my Whoopsie Hair Ties. They help me feel very powerful. And I think that's it. I want to thank you again, Ivan.
My pleasure. Can I leave you with one last thought?
Please do.
You know the old expression, it's not what you know, it's who you know? Mm-hmm. I don't think it's either one. I don't think it's what you know or who you know. It's how well you know each other that really counts. Because I've got some amazing contacts in my phone, but the question is, could I pick up the phone and call them? Would they take my call? And if I ask them for a favor, would they be willing to do a favor? So networking is all about building those relationships. It's not what you know or who you know, it's how well you know each other that really counts. Michelle, thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you so much, Ivan. I appreciate it. And I do end all of my episodes with, if you feel good about your sales process, you're going to make more sales. And when you make more sales, you make more money. So thank you so much. And I'm going to shut off our lives. And thank you again. Thank you. I've got my all right, there we go.